The opinions expressed in this program are not those of CISA 7 or Time Warner Cable.
What's your tomorrow?
Specialist position and associated job description as presented be approved.
Second.
Any questions? Sandy?
Dorf?
Aye.
Warren?
Aye.
Wagner?
Aye.
Blacka?
Aye.
Maloney?
Aye.
Becker?
Aye.
Carried 6-0.
I move that the employment of Justin Zacher as Network Operations Manager, 12 months as presented.
Second.
Justin couldn't be here, but he's working for Insight right now, and he does network work for Insight Communications.
Sandy?
Maloney?
Aye.
Warren?
Aye.
Dorf?
Aye.
Becker?
Aye.
Blacka?
Aye.
Wagner?
Aye.
Carried 6-0.
I move that the employment of Seth Meinel as Associate Principal, 11 months at Preble as presented be approved.
Second.
Sandy?
Blacka?
Aye.
Wagner?
Aye.
Becker?
Aye.
Maloney?
Aye.
Warren?
Aye.
Dorf?
Aye.
Carried 6-0.
And
I
Seth
think
is
he's
here.
already.
And I apologize if I messed up your last name. How do
No,
you?
that was absolutely perfect. You did it.
All right, good work, Katie.
I like him already. He's in. He can stay.
He's a grad from our school. You went to Southwest, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. I 2002 graduate of Green Bay Southwest, so I'm just honored and humbled to have been selected for the position and to come back to a district that provided me with an outstanding education. So thank you very much.
Right.
Welcome. Entertain the next motion.
I move that the employment of Dara Andatere as an Associate Director of Special Education, 12 months as presented be approved.
Seconded.
Dara has worked for the last 10 years at the Milwaukee School District doing a similar position. She spent most of her career in special education, comes really highly prepared for the job.
Sandy?
Becker?
Aye.
Maloney?
Aye.
Dorf?
Aye.
Wagner?
Aye.
Warren?
Aye.
Blacka?
Aye.
Carried 6-0.
I move that the transfer of Lisa Johnson, Curriculum Coordinator, to Career and Technical Education Coordinator, effective August 1st, 2015, as presented be approved.
Second.
Lisa couldn't be here today, but you know Lisa.
Right.
Lisa has been to the
Yep.
board a number of times talking about curriculum, and she's very excited to start this job because it's going to kind of focus on her careers and technical work where she's had a broader experience in curriculum. So she brings a great deal of background with the district and experience to the job as well.
Sandy?
Warren?
Aye.
Becker?
Aye.
Blacka?
Aye.
Maloney?
Aye.
Wagner?
Aye.
Dorf?
Aye.
Carried 6-0.
I move that the transfer of Brendan Whitfield, Supervisor of Special Education Educator Effectiveness, to Associate Director of Special Education Interim, effective July 1st through July 31st, as presented, be approved.
Second.
I'll explain this one. Brendan was in an interim role till June 30th of this year as the Associate Director of Special Ed, and then he reverted back to his previous position. But because we do not have our two people in place yet, Brendan is continuing 1 month till the end of this month, the role of Associate Director of Special Ed. So this allows him to continue in that role and be compensated for that role. And then the next motion will transfer him to the position that will be our recommended position for
We'll
next
get the rest of the story.
All right.
Sandy?
Wagner?
Aye.
Maloney?
Aye.
Warren?
Aye.
Dorf?
Aye.
Blacka?
Aye.
Becker?
Aye.
Carried 6-0.
I move that the transfer of Brendan Whitfield, Associate Director of Special Education Interim, to Associate Principal Activities Director, 11 months at Washington Middle School, effective August 1st, 2015, as presented, be approved.
Second.
Sorry. Sandy?
Blackout?
Aye.
Dorf?
Aye.
Becker?
Aye.
Warren?
Aye.
Maloney?
Aye.
Wagner?
Aye.
Carried 6-0.
I move that the consent items as presented be approved.
Second.
Sandy?
Maloney?
Aye.
Warren?
Aye.
Blackout?
Aye.
Dorf?
Aye.
Wagner?
Aye.
Becker?
Aye.
Carried 6-0. We'll,
I'd like to just introduce the one,
Oh.
a person who's here, couldn't be here because he was on vacation when the board took the
Oh, yeah.
vote. And that is John Otto. John is the new director of IT, comes with lots of experience and is already hitting the deck running, I can assure you of that.
Jean, he came in earlier and we were having
Oh, you
trouble.
did? Okay.
He just walked by and it all got fixed. He said nothing. He's
He didn't
magic.
touch a thing, but it
So
worked.
Katie, he's in. So,
Yeah, he's
welcome.
already, starting.
the
and
ground running,
We've met a
yes.
couple times, so it's great.
Yeah. so.
right, very good. Good. All right, then I will entertain a motion to adjourn the special board meeting.
move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, and we will restart our work session at 5:30.
Don't you two get excited. The real meeting starts at 5:30. I can't leave. If I can't leave, I can't.
Members of the Intercity Student Council, we have Grace Sinclair, who's the Vice President of Intercity Student Council from Preble, and Evan Gabarczyk, who's also a student from Preble. Welcome. Feel free to participate, ask questions, give your ideas or information. And then also, I'm joined to my left by Dr. Michelle Langenfeld, our superintendent, and members of the cabinet, and Sandy Heller, our board assistant. We'll begin with the teaching and learning work session, and I'll turn that over to Katie Maloney.
Thank you. And we have one discussion item, and it's the U.S. History Advanced Placement Resources.
I'll just give a quick little introduction. Joining us at the table tonight to facilitate and deliver the board report is Executive Director of Teaching and Learning for Secondary Schools, Mr. Michael Freeze. So he'll go ahead and give you the background and the context and talk to you about the governance request that we're bringing forward this evening as well.
Good evening, everybody. Thanks again for the opportunity to, as always, continue serving the students and staff of the district, and for the opportunity to touch base with you tonight about our AP US History textbook or resource request. The genesis of this request comes from the fact that the AP US History course has been updated. It was updated for this past school year. Staff was very excited to take a look at what that would mean in terms of updated resource options. The recommendation was to wait until the first AP US History assessment took place this past spring to get a sense of what they were really looking for so that we could better establish what resources might be the best support pieces. In this case, the teachers sought out different textbook pieces of information from various vendors based on what AP colleagues in other districts across the state, across the country, and from using an evaluation rubric to determine what might be the best fit. So as the board report indicates, they've narrowed down their selection and they wish for governance approval for the McGraw-Hill Brinkley text, which is highly rated, is well renowned across AP circles as a very high quality text. And so that is the nature of the request tonight.
Any questions or concerns? Chris?
Not a question or concern with this per se, but it just triggered a question for me. We have many of our AP teachers involved with AP grading going at the national level. I just recall one of our teachers, Mike Wittig by name, who taught this. He was able to participate in that. He came back aglow with how much he enjoyed it, how much he thought it would help him teach the class. So I don't, you may not be in a position to answer that right now, but it is something I'd be interested in. Hopefully we could support.
We actually have had requests for that in the past 2 years since I've been working in the teaching and learning department, and working with Stephen Miller in assessment this past year. Jean Kim Muskowiak from West High School, I believe, was able to participate as a national grader in AP US history, and so that happened at the end of the school year. I think the question is always trying to work through the logistics because it tends to fall at the end of our school year and our semester, so making sure we can accommodate all of those things and et cetera. But yeah, so we are very motivated to find out to what extent that can support improvements for our teaching and learning environment for our students and staff as well. So this year, yes, we had somebody go. So.
And we do philosophically see it as a great embedded professional development opportunity, as you alluded to, and their ability to bring it back and to share it with others is a very worthwhile experience.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Ed?
Just something for clarification on the student resources. It says student resources include smart book and interactive online textbook with close reading tools. Close reading tools. Now, I know the closed procedure, but
Sure.
that's elementary. What is this?
Well, to some extent similar, and I'll verify with our curriculum coordinator that works specifically with the team, but in our experiences when the online text includes those types of things, it allows you to highlight, annotate, save, bookmark, similar to what may be available on like a Kindle or a
Okay.
feature thing. So when the students can log in, their pieces are still saved. It's not just a strict static read the page piece of thing, but I'll check into that for sure.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or concerns? Hearing none, we'll move that forward.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. And that actually concludes our portion of the meeting.
All right, thank you, Katie. Next we'll move to organizational support work session, and that will be facilitated by Chris Wagner.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll make the recommended motion that the marketing and graphic design specialist position be forwarded to the board.
What motion are you making?
This is for discussion to be brought up next
Right.
board meeting, right? Okay, make sure we're on the same page here. Oh, we had, if I may, trying to read it, under business and finance, why it's there, I'm not sure. Bus vehicle rider rules and regulations, is that?
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
That would be the first thing to be discussed.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
We're here this evening to propose both school policy rule and rule change around the student conduct on school buses and vehicles. We added the term vehicles to encompass our new school van use. And have one policy that would apply to both and one rule that would apply to both. We have continued the work of the Transportation Task Force, which is a diverse group pulled together of a variety of stakeholders. And that team then also created a subcommittee which included our bus carrier partners from the community as well as bus drivers to provide input onto recommended changes for your consideration this evening. So we've had previous members on the task force as well as some new ones. And our new office, transportation office manager, Jeremy, is here this evening as well and has been involved in the review and moving the final transportation pieces forward. So we would like your consideration to address the changes consistent with safe transport for all students and put the policy and policy rule recommendations before you this evening.
Do you want Jeremy to come up to the table too?
Chris?
Yes.
Oh, Andrew?
I just want to say I apologize. Instead of one copy of special board meeting and one copy of this, I took 2 copies of special board meeting.
Well, you threw me for a loop for a second there.
I thought you were repeating what I had just
I
covered in
Deja vu,
5:15.
but
So,
That's okay, Andrea. We'll
Okay.
talk about you later. Now, Mike has a
Mike, okay.
more relevant point.
There are some fairly substantial changes here. Would staff talk a little bit about the reason for those? Are there some changes in state law that we're making sure that our rules and policy follow? Or is it just something that when we looked at, we decided we needed an update?
It's both. We looked at a variety of things as we considered the changes and the proposed changes. Based on feedback from our stakeholder groups, students, parents, and our partners, our community partners and bus carriers requested review. This came up as a high interest area for our in-district stakeholders, teachers, principals, and different department areas as well. And then we also did take into consideration statutes and additional safety training such as ALICE and other initiatives with positive behavior interventions and supports, and making sure that we are supporting our students to be successful on the bus, and that we are establishing a clear and consistent process and protocol to work together as a team in assuring the student safety.
If I could just add, as part of my role in reviewing this, the policy was very punitive and was focused on number of infractions versus severity of infraction, or it provided very little discretion for the building administrator, the teacher, or the bus carrier with respect to the incident. So there could be things such as minor issues of the bus carriers don't allow kids to eat on the bus or chew gum. And while that's serious and we don't want children to choke, there could be other issues that's causing the child to eat in the morning or eat in the afternoon. And based on the number of infractions, the student could lose their bus privilege rather than putting a corrective measure in place and addressing the cause of the behavior. We just didn't, as a committee and personally, feel that the policy or the rule as drafted provided for discretion to address those situations.
I'm glad to see it, because actually I noticed that it's far less punitive and more educational. So I'd hate to say, well, this is your second offense, you're off the bus.
Right.
So then how does that child get home or to school? So I think that's a very positive change.
I just have a quick point on number 4. It's in terms of using the plural. You've got whoops, stop moving that. Stop. Please.
She doesn't want you to answer your question.
Riders shall not extend head, so it should be heads.
Okay.
Or limbs.
Got it.
And then nor shall the riders throw, if you want to be consistent, because everywhere else it's riders.
Yep.
Thank you.
Good catch. Just every once in a while.
Anybody else?
Just a comment. I appreciate very much the fact that you've included the language that speaks to the bus stop itself, the vehicle stop, because we talk about curb-to-curb responsibility, and it's. Thank you for doing that.
Well, and that was through input from a variety of stakeholders, and that's the benefit of having a diverse group come together and work collaboratively as a team, and that came from feedback from a number of individuals to include that.
Mr. Becker?
Yes, so we have it in, I guess, somewhere in the general neighborhood of number 9. The driver has responsibility to maintain order on the vehicle. The responsibility includes assigning riders to designated seats on the vehicle. Is the intent of this that drivers must give assigned seating?
The intent is that the driver is engaged with the students and is aware of where students are sitting, and if there is a specific need for a student to be seated in a certain way, or to support success for the student to have an assigned seat, that responsibility would reside with the bus driver, who is the person that's immediately there. There are some routes or drivers who do not have assigned seating on the bus and may not have a need to have specific assigned seats, but it is still about being aware of where students are placed on the bus and that all of the safety features are accomplished.
I guess and this is just something to look over before next before next time, it just kind of looks to me like a driver could read this and say, your responsibilities include assigning the seats, so you better assign the seats. There's, you know, the option to or has the ability to something, maybe.
Or Andrew,
as
if I could offer the sentence, the responsibility includes assigning riders to designated seats on the vehicle where appropriate.
Just so it doesn't, I just don't want a driver to look at it and think it's required.
Okay.
And then did we just, I'm assuming, obviously tobacco isn't allowed, did we just move that somewhere else in the policy and I missed it?
We took it out because the policy on if you recall, we expanded that nicotine and smoking policy to include all like substances. That policy addresses the bus stops as well as the vehicles. So it was duplicative, we didn't need it in here. And then when that policy changes, then we have to change it where it is in every policy, and so it's just easier to keep it in the one general policy.
All right, thank you.
Anyone else? I appreciate everything that's been said here, and I certainly agree with cleaning this up and at the bus stop and way to school. Sometimes we forget about it, but I've always felt we have a responsibility there. One concern, or maybe not a concern, more of a lament. I saw you took out the word horseplay. Now, to me, horseplay is a very good word, and it's the sum is greater, than its parts in that particular one. But I'll have to live with that, I guess.
That one's for me too, but I think we're.
I don't think we're.
Well, I know Melissa wanted to make sure we highlighted that we actually shortened the language of the policy and made the policy shorter instead of longer.
Well, one could argue to say no horseplay, period, and that'd take care of a lot of it. Anyway, we'll move it on to full board meeting. Next discussion is over sale and solicitations on district property. Thank you.
This policy is a new policy. The district, as you know, we continue to revise and update that old set of policies that still exists in the Alphabet series, and this is one of those policies that we're bringing forward out of that Alphabet series. Wisconsin law addresses this. Statute 118.12 allows a school board to prohibit the sale and goods of services on school district property. We just need a policy that defines the rules and parameters around that. The purpose of this policy is really to protect our students and our staff from outside vendors who see our students and staff as a fertile ground really for the selling of their products and for using students and staff to market to during the course of the school day and for non-educational purposes. So this policy sets parameters around that while still allows for flexibility for those traditional goodwill things of teachers bringing in for their child's Girl Scout cookies and those sorts of things that don't interfere with the day but allow for typical goodwill things that employees do in a work setting.
Any questions, concerns? Mr. Becker?
So what is the, if anything, what does this look like as far as an actual change in operations? Are there certain things we're looking at that would actually be stopped by this, or is this more just to prevent something that would be a bigger problem? Like, is this really pointed at outsiders?
That really is the purpose of the policy. I think those who have been principals sitting here at the table could probably better speak to the solicitations and the outside vendors that do come in or come onto district property to market and sell items during the course of the school day. Groups that want to hold fundraisers for their special interests that are not educationally related, that student groups haven't adopted, that come in and request the school to solicit funds on their behalf. Those sorts of things that we want to make sure we're protecting our students and staff in the educational environment.
Okay, so what about parent school related groups must abide by this policy? Neither such adding them to the list of outsiders.
What paragraph are you?
It's the second paragraph. So it sounds like it's saying neither parent school related groups nor completely outside groups may.
What if it's without permission?
Without permission from the principal.
Okay.
Like book fairs.
Correct. Book fairs.
Something that.
At Weequahic, they have the winter fundraiser where they hold the sale of goods during the holiday break, where kids can come and shop, and that's a fundraiser for them. That's approved through the principal.
Okay.
Food solicitation for the different food shelters. I mean, that's something that. could be-
Correct. Fundraisers. Some schools do penny wars. Some schools
Right.
do the drive for undergarments and toiletries, those sorts of things that are approved
Gloves.
through.
Right, right.
They just have to have a student group running it.
Correct, and approval through the building principal.
And that's the key.
Correct.
Getting that.
Any other questions, concerns? Yes.
This does not affect email communications. If somebody were to try to, for instance, somewhere in here, I just read it, but I won't find it again. When approved in advance, those kinds of things. Some of these things, the principal has to find out about, or somebody has to find out about. So are we prohibiting emails and things like that, or is this just people showing up to the school and trying to have a meeting with you that's not been pre-arranged?
It would be the latter.
Okay.
Yep.
So they can still promote things through email and try to get you to get a parent or building leader or somebody like that to meet with them to talk about whether this is something they would want to do in their school.
Correct.
Right, okay.
But the authorization ultimately rests with the building
With the-
administrator.
Right, okay.
Okay. We'll move this along. Next item is the district endorsements policy.
This policy was really brought upon by, I think, the district's good reputation in the community and actually nationally and throughout the state. Because of our size, because of our good work here, we have a number of outside organizations who most recently have requested for the district to provide testimonials, to provide endorsements of products and services. And as we explored those requests, we realized that we probably need some policy around that in order to define who has authority to provide an endorsement, whether we want to provide an endorsement, and whether we want to provide that information. And this policy addresses parameters around those issues.
Questions, concerns?
Can you give an example? Who's been asking for us to endorse them?
Sure. Well, I can use human resources for one. We have is it long-term care provider?
Yes, it's actually our long-term care provider, the Standard, offers a program where they provide free of charge some assistive devices to employees to help them come back to work. And they did a great job on other employees. And so they wanted us to write a story about that they would share. The employee consented. All the consents have to take place at the appointment. So in some cases like that, it helps. It may help the district. It obviously helps the company as well. So we would want to be able to consider those things and make sure that it's something we would do, but the policy would allow us to consider it.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You have to move that along. Thank you.
Thank
for
you.
putting it together. Would you like to introduce the next part, Mr. Booth? Mr. Becker?
Yes, I'll introduce the employee handbook revisions as listed.
We're recommending 2 changes to the employee handbook. Randy can describe them. The first is we removing the references to compensatory time.
Yes, we're making a recommendation that compensatory time no longer be part of the handbook. The employees have an opportunity to adjust their schedule on a day-to-day basis as it is, and compensatory time doesn't offer them a greater opportunity to be able to have the latitude to work with their supervisor in order to create a schedule that works for them.
In addition, we don't have, we haven't had and we still don't have a way to accurately track compensatory time. And now with our time and attendance system, if people work extra, they're paid for the time they're working. If they go into overtime, they're paid overtime. And if they need to take, and they can take a shorter day another time, they can do that and then they just clock in and the system records their hours. Last year we had 3 employees who are all clericals who did comp time. And they wouldn't have needed to do that now with the system.
Questions, concerns?
Just to clarify, there were only 3. We asked Jean to look in and see how many people were actually using it.
And they were clerical staff.
Yeah, three clerical staff only, and clerical staff is one of the groups that has the ability to use vacation time. So it was just another way that they were able to take some time off. It's very difficult to track, and it's not being used very often. We did meet with each of the union groups on it, and quite honestly, when we talked to them about it, their response was, "We didn't know you had it anymore." They didn't even know it was in the handbook.
So obviously it wasn't a problem for them. Okay.
So, a few years ago, when the workday was changed rather suddenly, one of the things that I remember that we kept hearing was, however, I'm thinking mostly of teachers, but there's others, are now going to be treated more like salaried professionals in the sense that you may have a shorter day once in a while, knowing that for the vast majority it's usually a longer day. And I thought maybe I'm wrong, or maybe it was just colloquially called comp time and wasn't really the compensatory time off, but I guess I heard the flexibility was going to come in, and then I kind of heard that the flexibility for teachers was happening more or happening less depending on building administrators. So what if anything does this do to that?
We really don't have comp time for teachers anymore. Comp time in the sense that they had to write their time on a sheet, log it in, and then when they took it, they had to record it. And that was all done on paper. Right now, they should be treated as professionals, and they're responsible for their job and for attending the necessary meetings and events with families and parents. And so they have core hours in the building, and they're supposed to be present during the core hours. But if they need to leave earlier, I think most of the building administrators have them check out in some way so they know that they're not in the building for pretty much safety purposes.
Right.
And I think they're held accountable for performing their work, not so much for, are you there?
Okay, so if someone has a 8th-hour prep, and there's a medical appointment, is it the expectation of the district that should be a time the person probably would be able to use that?
It is.
And in the past, that would have required logging and comp time and everything?
And they are not required to log that in comp time.
Well, I think there's 2 different things. Compensatory time is similar to overtime. It's something that hourly employees have the ability to earn. And it doesn't apply to the educator. What you're referring to, the old practice of being able to use time, I think we used to call it flex time. This is something completely different than what that is. This is tied to hourly employees who get time and a half once they exceed 40 hours. And compensatory time allows them to take off time and a half instead of, in lieu of the pay for compensatory time. This isn't talking about teachers.
Okay, so although there has been a change in expectations that we expect it to be easier for teachers to do some of these things in the way that other salaried professionals do. That's not related to this handbook change.
Right, because they haven't been doing comp time, at least since I've been here. They've not been
Okay.
recording
Well,
it in the sense that they did it in the years past.
Will salaried staff still enter times into the electronic system?
Only for things that they did on a timesheet, which would be the additional time. They won't be, if they're coming in for their regular teaching assignment, they don't clock in and out. They have been clocking in for summer school so that it's recorded because they're paid on a, they used to record it on a timesheet. So kind of anything that was recorded on a timesheet by the educator is now recorded in the system.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? We move that on. That's all we have.
All right.
The second change is related to changing the date for retirement under emeritus. I'll let Randy speak.
The current language for an employee to submit for emeritus is February 15th. We're recommending that we move that date back to January 31st. The benefit of this is that this gives us 2 more weeks to start to plan for our staffing for the upcoming year. It has really no other impact on the employees applying for emeritus other than they have to make the decision a little bit earlier, but it really puts us at a much greater advantage for trying to get our staffing in a line so we can get out ahead of the curve and start recruiting people when we know that we have employees that are going to be retiring and leaving the district.
We talked with the GBA about this, and I think I think in talking with Dave and Lori, they realize that most educators aren't planning on this right up until the end. They think about this quite a bit ahead of time. So if we message this out early, like now, if the board should vote on this, we'll make sure that we message this over and over so that people who are considering retirement understand that the date has been changed. It would also change for administrators, and administrators' change would come in the board rule 222.1. The board does not vote on the rule, but we would also align administrator retirement under emeritus with this change to the handbook.
Questions, concerns? Is that it?
That's all we have.
Thank you. All set?
All right, thanks, Chris. And we do have that was short. Usually these meetings aren't this quick, but you picked the...
You're lucky.
Mr. Gabarczyk is here. He knows what's to do.
Something before we go to that closed session? 2 things if I may.
Maybe.
After I say it, you let me.
I'll let you know.
Try us.
One, and I should have mentioned sooner, Scholarships Inc. has their Lamp of Knowledge banquet and recognition of students on July 22nd at the Radisson. I know our superintendent and I think Mr. Smith were kind enough to be able to attend last year. I can't remember who else, excuse me if I forget you, and I appreciate that because they do provide quite a few scholarships for our kids, and they have a nice initiative going for youngsters who's would be first time in college. So if anyone can attend, I'd certainly appreciate that. Full disclosure, my wife is president of the organization right now. The second item I just want to be clear on, and we have, assuming this is being recorded and will go out, I noted in the open records deal that it talked about school districts also be included, not having to have the transparency that we now have. And I just want to make it clear to any of the public listening that this school board, and I did not endorse that by any means or want any part of that. I think I can speak for my colleagues in the administration. We appreciate the transparency we have. We're a public institution, and we were not there trying to back that. That was forwarded, shall we say, by at last minute by some of the legislators. Thank you.
All right. We do have a closed session. I will read that motion. Thanks, Chris. Special board meeting closed session has been scheduled for Monday, July 13th, immediately following the adjournment of the work session meetings in room 337 pursuant to Wisconsin Statute 19.851C, considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility, and pursuant to Wisconsin Statute 19.851F, considering financial, medical, social, or personal histories or disciplinary data of specific persons preliminary consideration of specific personnel problems or the investigation of charges against specific persons except where paragraph E applies, which if discussed in public would be likely to have a substantial adverse effect upon the reputation of any person referred to in such histories or data or involved in such problems or investigations, to wit, personnel matters. The meeting will begin in open session to consider the appropriate motion for a closed session so provided by law.
So moved.
Second.
Sandy?
Becker?
Aye.
Blackout?
Aye.
Wagner?
Aye.
Dorf?
Aye.
Warren?
Aye.
Maloney? Aye.
Carried 6-0. We will meet across the hall.
What's your tomorrow?